Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ella Selviani with name 21030500009 English Education Study Program Maritim Raja Ali Haji University. I will review the journal to fulfill the final semester exam assignment from Mr. Muhammad Chandra as the course lecture academic speaking. Okay, I will review the journal entitled Vocabulary Self-Collection Strategy. Is it effective to improve vocabulary mastery achievement on senior high school students? Rizal Arisman, Universitas Dayanu Iksanuddin. There are several sections of the journal that I will explain, namely the abstract, introduction, finding and discussion, and conclusion. Immediately, the first one is there. The first abstract. The research used a quantitative approach with the experimental method of quasi-experimental design. 16 students were selected using the purposive cluster sampling technique. Results indicated that the score of time hike to Thailand was 0.001, which was below 0.05. And the second, introduction. Mastering vocabulary is important is getting now any language. While not having sufficient vocabulary, it must be not possible to gather proper abilities in any language skill. English becomes the foreign language in Indonesia. It is included in school curriculum from elementary to high school. A vocabulary strategy is a specific instructional instrument and method of going about it, as well as the independent word learning abilities needed to do so. The languages of reading, listening, speaking, and writing have two distinct forms of vocabulary. This vocabulary is receptive, productive, passive, and active. Pupils or took the importance of vocabulary in order to understand an English passage so as to understand it. Unique attention is needed within the study of vocabulary. The ideal method for learners to collect new vocabulary through the mastering method within the curriculum is through repetition. Students' vocabulary fluency could be very low due to the fact students have issue memorizing the new words which have been taught. Researchers use the self-vocabulary or PSS strategy to educate vocabulary. PSS provides a long-term incentive for pupils to acquire new words. Using VSS can improve students' vocabulary mastery through making the studying more fun and bringing enthusiasm and motivating the students to accumulate new words. This research aims to find out whether the application of VSS is better than a conventional method at SMA Negeri Pu Bau Bau. The third method. Students concerned in these studies were 11 grade students from SMA Negeri Pu Bau Bau. They were selected as samples using the purposive cluster sampling technique. The data accumulated throughout the test is analyzed using inferential statistics to decide students' vocabulary fluency earlier than and after treatment. The speculation test used the Kolmogorov-Smirnov test and the Levin test for the variance of equality, whilst the homogeneity test was done using the Kruskal-Wallis test. 4. Finding and discussion. U-test is used to determine whether or not a study's hypothesis is accepted or rejected. The experimental classes took using a vocabulary self-collection approach, whereas the control class or took using the conventional approach, and gain check is implemented to discover which method is most effective for teaching vocabulary. Students who take vocabulary skills or PSS are more motivated to learn vocabulary since they do not feel bored and enjoy the class. Mandasari 2013 and objectively join the learning Meaningsih 25 2015. This shows that PSS is a means of increase intrinsically motivating learners to build academic and specialized vocabulary. And the last conclusion. Students who are taught using the vocabulary self-taught collection strategy have an awesome command of vocabulary compared to those who are given the conventional approach. This research suggests to use the vocabulary collection strategy in teaching vocabulary, since it is better to improve students' vocabulary achievement. So, thinking about the importance of vocabulary, then it needs to gain knowledge of with the ideal method for learner to collect new vocabulary through the mastering method within the classroom. The issue seems at the vocabulary of the pupils of SMA Negeri 4 Bau-Bau, Southeast Sulawesi. English teacher introduced English vocabulary using translation and asked pupils to memorize it. Translation ought to be prevented because it has numerous risks such that pupils may have verbalism and no longer all words may be translated. For that reason, many students lost interest and become bored in studying vocabulary. Consequently, students' vocabulary fluency could be very low due to the fact students have issues memorizing the new words which have been taught and that they effortlessly forget about the phrases that have been learned earlier than. By knowing the problem faced by the students at SMA Negeri 4 Bau-Bau above, the researcher suggests one strategy to overcome it. Researchers use the self-vocabulary collection (VSS) strategy to educate vocabulary to enhance pupils' vocabulary fluency. The VSS turned into evolve with the aid of Rudel in 2005. It applied inside the classroom of 7th grade high school and graduate students. Antonasi et al. 2014 states that the VSS goal is to provide a long-term incentive for pupils to acquire new words by raising their interest in integrating new topic words into their educational vocabulary over time. As students use VSS, they maintain their study approach, locate the ideal words to use, expand their vocabularies, and become word mindful. Martin 2015. Moreover, Hagar in Putri 2012 indicates that there are three benefits to adopting PSS, making a connection among new words and their meanings, growing pupils' interest in new phrases, and growing students' passion for learning and the invention of late words. Evidently, PSS makes the studying method more exciting and fun for the pupil. Students are not going to be bored through the interest as they will now not simply be asked to reply questions related to the textual, primarily based on the end result of the data analysis or as provided formerly within the descriptive analysis supported through The hypothesis test and the effectiveness test. His This research conclude that there a significant difference in the achievement of vocabulary proficiency among students at those that are taught using self-taught vocabulary key collection strategy and those who are taught through the conventional approach. It may be seen inside the average score of the co-test in which inside the experimental class it is 79 79 16 7 and it is categorized as good. It means that students can an awesome command of vocabulary after being taught using the vocabulary self-collection strategy. For contrast, the main post score in the control class is 69 18.3 and is classified as fair. It reveals that the students have an appropriate achievement in vocabulary mastery after being taught using the conventional method. Moreover, the results of the efficiency test conclude that the vocabulary self-collection approach is greater effective than the conventional approach. From the end result of the Endgame test, it may be regarded that the mean score within the experimental classes 47.75% and it is 25 12% within the control class. Observing the result of each groups, this research suggests to use the vocabulary self collection strategy in teaching vocabulary since it is better to improve students' vocabulary mastery achievement than the conventional method. So many reviews from me. Apologies if there are mistakes because in truth nothing is perfect except Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Please criticize and suggest so that I can be even better. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.